Okay, welcome to the Traffic Commission meeting on June 20th, 2024. Let us stand for Pledge Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before we start this, right on the request, right now, Joanna McKenna's on that list.
Yeah,
Could we let her go first?
sure,
Okay.
yeah. Okay, Traffic Commission members present this evening include Chris Charamello, DPW Superintendent, Nick Rystrom, City Engineer, Chief Chris Bright, Fire Department, and I'm Frank Stringy, City Planner. We're going to move to a request, which is the last request to make from Councilor McKenna. This is number 5, correct? This is establish 2 lanes on Winthrop Avenue heading towards Broadway between Low Street and Beach Street at Immaculate Conception to provide for a right turn lane onto Beach Street, left turn lane, straight lane for Beach Street and Winthrop Avenue. And also establish 2 lanes on Beach Street from Harrington Street to Winthrop Avenue heading towards Winthrop Avenue to provide for a right turn lane onto Winthrop Avenue and left turn straight lane for Winthrop Avenue and Beach Street. Councilor, you'd like to speak?
Thank you. Joanne McKenna, Ward 1 Councilor. I'm just asking for some lineage, some arrows and some lines, because the 2 lanes are already created. It's just, I mean, it's been created for the last, I have no idea, probably 7 to 8 years, but there's no lines to separate those cars. And I'm just afraid of accidents, so it's a safety concern. But those lines, I mean, people line up on the left side and the right side in front of Immaculate Conception to take a right to Beach Street or go straight to Winthrop Ave or go left to Beach Street, and the same thing on the other side.
So what we're going to have to do here, we're going to have to take a measurement of the width of the roadway, because those travel lanes and turn lanes have to be a minimum of 10 feet.
Okay.
So we have to see if we can get them both in there. We're going to
Okay.
eliminate, you have to eliminate parking on the right-hand side on Beach Street as you head towards Winthrop Avenue.
Well, you only have to, just a quarter of a way, just so before you come to the light, right after where the kids play in the playground, there would be no parking there, and then
It would be
people could
from-
just line up.
Request says from Harrington Street to Winthrop Avenue.
Harrington Street is right near the playground. I
Yeah.
don't think there's any houses or anything in
Yeah.
between them. There might be one house.
Yeah, the only thing, parents line up there and park their vehicles waiting for the kids to come out of school, but we'll send that through, and Nick, maybe take a look at that, see if the width
I
of the
mean,
roadway
it's
is wide
already
enough to
being
get
done.
an extra lane in
So-
there.
It's already being done, it's just.
I know, cars
for-
line up there, doesn't mean it's legal. If we,
Right, but-
if we allow it, it has to be within, the accepted practices for lane
Okay,
width, okay?
all right, thank you.
We'll take a look at it. Going to, okay, we're going to public hearings. A representative from the MBTA would like to have a discussion regarding the MBTA's better bus network improvement plans for the 110 and the 116 bus routes. Possible changes include consolidating stops on the east side of Broadway and moving the stops to the west side, sidewalk improvements on Broadway at the new bus stop locations, and this would eliminate the MBTA's need for the access road through to the fire station. I believe there was a presentation at last meeting. Wasn't it, Laurie?
Yes, I believe.
So this is a public hearing, and so this public hearing is for these specific changes. So if you would like to speak, anybody from the MBTA that would like to present the proposed plan and what you were requesting from the Traffic Commission?
Yes. I'm sorry, could you hear my slide deck? I didn't realize it was
Yeah. Caught her off guard. I'm quick. I like to get things moving, So the last time you were here, we discussed some modifications to the proposed plan. Including eliminating the stop on Park Ave and consolidating it with the stop on Broadway.
If it makes sense, I can jump straight to the proposal, or I'm happy to do a recap of the background, if that would be
I
of
think
benefit.
that was accomplished last meeting.
Okay,
This is the public hearing to
okay,
actually vote on the changes the MBTA is requesting.
great. Is there a way to, oh,
It might just take a minute for them to have it up.
Oh, okay.
They might be waiting for you to actually have the slide, like show open, if you will.
okay,
Yeah.
yeah, great. Oh no, did I break it?
Okay, so we're having some technical difficulties, so we can,
We'll just swing it. We'll just swing it.
I don't think we're gonna be able to use it before. So, we're just gonna go with it. If they all have,
Yeah. 114.
Okay. Oh, good. You all have a copy of it, at least. Excellent. Okay. So yes, the proposal that we brought, apologies, to the last presentation is to consolidate the stops on the east side of Broadway and move stops to the west side, add sidewalks improvements on Broadway at the new bus stop location, and this would also end the MBTA's business need for the access road to the central fire station. That is the proposal we brought, and I am happy to take questions.
I think the concern last time, and I believe you're going to have some backup data from your transportation engineers regarding how that affects overall volume of traffic flow on Broadway. And I know there is specialized signalization that would give
Yes.
special treatment for the buses and would allow things to move a lot quicker than they do now.
Absolutely.
If that can be explained,
Great.
give us a breakdown.
Happy to. Okay, I had some great visuals, but if you go to, for those of you with a picture, to slide 17. This is a proposed Q-jump phase, and so
Page.
we did the calculations of how many vehicles we would anticipate with the updated service plan. Sorry,
What page is
slide
it?
17,
Is that page 17?
presumably, maybe page 18. It should say proposed Q-jump phase. The one you've got your hand on right there.
Okay.
Nope, keep going. That one, yes.
Got it. Here, I could do this at least for folks over my shoulder. So the proposed reconfiguration, just to recap, would add a shared right turn lane and bus lane on the curb at Broadway and Central and Broadway at Park in each the northbound and the southbound directions. On the northbound side of Broadway, before Central Ave, we're proposing a shared bus stop for the 110 and 116. As part of the bus lane installation, we would add a transit signal head that would give a transit-only signal to the buses to pull back into traffic to continue straight on Broadway. We did, at the last hearing, there were questions about the impacts of the transit signal cycle on the intersection operations. The proposed signal cycle would add 10 seconds of protected movement for the bus, which could travel straight, and at the same time, any vehicles in the right turning lane would have
the ability to continue right, either ahead of the bus or following behind it after it's continued straight into the intersection. The need for this transit signal head is because on the far side of the intersection is parking, and so the bus would have to merge left into oncoming traffic from the right-hand lane. So this makes that a safer and easier operation. This signal is 10 seconds long. We anticipate it being called 10 times an hour, so that's 100 seconds, which is less than 2 minutes of time an hour that would be reallocated to the bus movement away from straight traveling vehicles. I do want to underscore that right-turning vehicles, which is also a heavy movement through that intersection, would continue to be able to travel right during that signal. So it doesn't stop all operations of the intersection.
So if a bus is stopped there, what about vehicles taking a right around the bus onto Central Avenue?
So you mean traveling like on the left side back into the right lane and going right? Certainly happens. Those vehicles during that signal would be able to have a permissive right-hand turn. I would not advise a driver to do that. I don't think that's illegal traffic movement to go around a bus, but
I
yes.
thought there was something said at the last meeting that somehow the signals themselves would notice that they would know that people are either getting on or off the bus, and it would not turn green during that period.
Right. So the way that the transit signal works is that it catches the bus before it enters the intersection. We put a sensor in advance of the intersection, and we time it based on our anticipated amount of time that the bus will be stopped, what we call dwelling, to let passengers on and off the bus at the intersection. It would then insert this special signal movement in the cycle so that the bus is not stuck in that intersection longer than is necessary and is able to proceed out. Does that answer the question that you had? Or is there, what, can you help me better understand?
I thought the cameras themselves.
Yes.
They would be more adaptive to, I thought the previous person that came up here said that they would not be called until the bus is closed. So
Yes.
the bus itself wouldn't be keeping people from making that right-hand turn.
Yes, sorry. So once the dwell is over, the bus can pull forward, and we would use a second camera. So before the intersection, there's a sensor, and then at the intersection, there's a camera. We talked to the signal vendor, and they did confirm that the cameras are smart enough to tell the difference between a bus and a truck or a bus and a car. And they would know that the bus is in the location and prepared to pull away.
Okay.
I think that's what was being described last time. I think the key point that I really want to,
So basically, I'm just trying to
Yeah.
ask, it would limit the amount of time that buses
in the intersection.
in the intersection stop holding up that right-hand lane. That's
Correct.
basically
Yes.
my concern. Okay.
Yes. I do really want to underscore that with the look that we did to understand how much time would be reallocated, 93% of the straight movement, right, through the intersection would remain unaffected every hour. This is a very, very small change. It's 10 seconds, about 10 times an hour.
Okay. So
Are
this,
there-
I see here there are a number of proposals.
I had planned to not pull them up unless necessary. So I would advise you to look at the proposal on slide. Oh my goodness. The image on slide 11 is the one that we're discussing.
So, Frank, would proposal 2 be part of this as well, moving those stops further down the road?
Can I clarify that?
Yeah,
We have,
please.
so we have three separate proposals that were part of what we were bringing to you for consideration. The first part is a package, so that's why they're named Proposal 1A, 1B, C, D. Those all would happen together. We need all of those things to make the stop movement work. Separate from that would be Proposals 2 and 3. So Proposal 2 is to balance the 116 stops on Broadway by moving the stops up to Mountain Ave. What this does is it makes if you zoom out to the entire route, we don't want stops very close together or very far apart. Too close together, it slows the bus down. Too far apart, it's very unpleasant for people walking. And so what this would do is put those stop spacing at a better interval. This is something that can happen or not happen. We would just not have a stop at Mountain Ave if you don't want that stop moved there. And the spacing would be a little bit longer than we prefer. I think it's 1,300 feet, which is within our guidelines, but it's the outer edge of our guidelines.
Can I just ask a quick question? So
Absolutely.
the stops that you're proposing to move to Mountain Ave, where would they be located? So Mountain Ave, if you're going north, would they be located south of Mountain Ave?
Correct. Both of them will be located south of Mountain Ave.
So the one going south even would be after the intersection?
Yes. We tend to prefer far side stops. They're easier for operators to pull into. My understanding is keeping the northbound stop on the south side of Mountain Ave is so that it could be serviced by other bus routes that take a turn shortly after.
Okay. So those, to add those, there's 2 or 3 parking spots that need to go away, correct?
Correct. So there would be 4 parking spaces lost up by Mountain Ave. I will say that at, this is so small, at Fernwood, you will be gaining 2 spaces from the closed stop. So the net impact is a loss of 2, though I do know locality does matter sometimes.
Right there, he's talking about here. And here. Those 2. Yeah.
So these changes are shown with retaining the stops on Broadway between Park and Central.
This one here.
Is that right?
I'm sorry, could you
So the
repeat that?
changes you're proposing under Proposal 2 and 3 include retaining the stops where you propose them between Park and
And
Central.
Broadway, yeah,
We'll move this
yes.
that way, and then they'll have
That
to-
presumes that the stops are relocated
Yeah.
to Broadway.
So this is being presented as one package.
Yes, but I do want to
All or
say.
nothing.
Proposal 1, Proposal 1 is all or nothing. Proposal 2, I think would be great for the bus operations, but if we don't relocate the stops, that's okay. There's no point in doing it if we're not relocating the stops to Broadway.
Yeah, our concern there is loss of parking on Broadway for the
Understandable.
proposal of Mountain
Yes.
Avenue. That's a major consideration for the community.
Proposal 3, similarly, is contingent on Proposal 1 happening. And it's more a notification because we are in a public forum that we intend to close the inaccessible stop in the driveway of the fire station, and that we would, again, end our business need for that driveway. So the buses would no longer travel through there with the new stops that have been installed. Again, this proposal is contingent on relocating the stops as part of Proposal 1.
So, we have you as a proponent. Do we have any
Yes.
other proponents who want to speak concerning this request?
Okay, one more thing, item, real quick, I'm just sorry, Tom. I just looked down to the proposed signal movements
Yes.
with Broadway and Park. So this would, the sequence 3 in the packet
Yes.
with the Q jump face would only have to be utilized for the 116. That's it. This is, the 110 wouldn't utilize that. Okay.
No, the 110 is not,
So it's not all buses going through the intersection, it's
No.
just the 116.
it's 116, yeah, correct.
And then the same going for Central Ave would just be the 110.
Correct.
Okay. Just the one taking the right.
Yeah, the
I'm sorry.
110
Yes, just the one going
goes
straight,
east-west, and the 116 goes north-south. And that's why we wanted to have them located in proximity to one another, to make that north-south to east-west transfer easier for the passengers that are going to be transferring between those two routes. That's why this particular intersection is, despite the challenges of the intersection, where we've focused.
I got you. Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Sorry to jump ahead. Are there any other questions from the commission members? The presenter?
No, just, you know, the fire station's right there at that intersection. Seems like you're moving everything closer to the fire station. And every day I look out there, even this afternoon, I even have video. I mean, it's just, it's a nightmare. I mean, 4 cars line up in the queue. If a bus is coming out Central to take a left there, I mean, it's just, there's nowhere to go out there. It's going to definitely impact us getting in and out of the fire station. You know, as far as the right-of-way coming around the station, that really doesn't impede us much. But this moving the bus stop right, you know, at the corner of Park Ave, and the other bus stop going away at Walgreens, that's a perfect location for a bus stop right there. You're not taking away any parking spaces. It's been there for a million years. There's plenty of room there. Doesn't impede us. So I have some major concerns with this, and, you know, don't have too much incentive to vote in favor of it, other than perhaps giving a trial, some type of a trial basis for it.
So, the concern the chief has regarding the elimination of the stop in front of Walgreens, is that necessary because of the short distance between the two stops now?
So, yes, I think we would not want to keep the stop at Walgreens and have the relocated stop in the southbound direction on Broadway or on, right there on Park. It puts the spacing very, very close together. It's, I think, like 300 feet, which is it'll make the bus go very, very, very slowly. So we do have an alternative configuration in here, where we essentially, I do want to say the reason we're here today is that we anticipate when we make these service changes, there are about 500 new people who will be making this transfer every weekday. And we wanted to make that transfer as pleasant as possible. It's not fun to transfer buses. And so having a stop that is both around the corner, right? If you're not familiar exactly with where you're finding the bus stop, it's very helpful to have a direct line of sight to it. So the closer in proximity that we can put the two stops to one another, the better and easier it is for those riders. The transfer as it would be were no changes made is 575 feet. Fortunately, those individuals don't have to cross a street in the northbound direction, so that is one upside. One of the reasons that we split the 110 and 116 bus stops was in recognition of the sensitivity of the fire station. So in the southbound direction, that's why there's the two stops, one right around the corner on Park, and one on Broadway. To limit the number of buses that would be stopping in that location.
That one you're moving, though, is right at Broadway and Park. I mean, that's a problem for us.
So, So what if we did this? Maintain the bus stop in the northerly direction between Park and Central. And why can't we consolidate the stops where they presently are in front of Walgreens?
Because the 110,
Comes up Central.
turns down Central. I know. If you look on slide 36, we do have a variation on the design where we solve the transfer problem essentially in the northbound, eastbound direction, and we leave as it currently is in the southbound, westbound direction. That would give us the opportunity to put this infrastructure in on one side of the street. It would be the opposite side from the fire station. And to see how it operates with this increase in bus operations after the service increase in December. And we can come back next spring or summer and have a conversation about how things are going in the southbound and westbound direction, if that's something this commission would be interested in doing.
What do the members think about that? I mean, that would have less impacts on the fire station and would allow us to better understand the movements that are going to be taking place.
Can you just run through that again? So the southbound won't change, but
Yep, we would leave it
northbound-
as is.
Northbound, you would have a new stop, a new consolidated stop across from, or in front of the bank, right?
Yep, in front of, I believe that's Citizens Bank.
Yeah. And the one in front of, Rite Aid would disappear?
Correct, so we would close the Rite Aid stop, we would retain the Walgreens stop, and we would close the stop in the fire lane, the fire driveway. I don't know how to refer to that. So we would keep things as they currently are. The trade-offs there, again, are the longer walk distance for folks making that transfer, and we're unfortunately not able to upgrade the stop, like the physical stop, because of the constraints in the current location. If we moved it closer to the intersection, there's space for us to build a shelter, which is nice. But again, we can treat this as a stepping stone.
That's what I was thinking. Well, we'll continue with the hearing and
Yes.
we'll ask for further proponents.
Evening, Commissioners. Tom Skrosky, Chief of Planning and Community Development. So I know you've heard the presentation now twice, but just to reiterate, Revere is one of a handful of communities that's going to be at the tip of the spear, as it were, for the Better Bus Network redesign. So this is a redesign taking place across the whole region that starts in Revere. And, you know, because we're one of the first communities to adopt this, I think we bear some degree of responsibility for making sure that the Better Bus Network redesign is really better for the buses. And I think in order for us to do that, we've got to make some decisions on how to ensure that the buses are moving along efficiently and in a way that we can bring more folks into the MBTA bus system. I know from our master plan, the number one concern we heard from residents was traffic congestion. And one of the best things we can do is make sure that we have efficient alternatives to driving in cars. And this is one opportunity we have to do that. Now, I know that there are a lot of different trade-offs that we're discussing, and I know, speaking on behalf of Mayor Keefe, he would prefer a trade-off that does not take parking away from Park Ave. as was, originally proposed, and we appreciate the MBTA's willingness to work with us on an alternative that lessens the impact on Park Ave to parking. At the same time, I would say our partners at MBTA have been working on this with us for over a year and a half, and will continue to be partners in this effort. And, what I would recommend to the commission is, irrespective of what decision you ultimately fall upon, I think we should have a trial implementation period that we implement this and have a look back, similar to the discussion we had about Harris Street and the improvements there, where, whether it's 90 days, some period of time afterward, we're coming back as a community and reflecting on what works, what doesn't, and tweaking things as needed. And I know MBTA is willing to be a committed partner in that effort and coming back to the table. I think particularly with transit signal priority, with queue jumping, we have a lot of new technology that I think these tweaks are, the efficacy of these tweaks really hinge on the efficacy of that technology. So I think it's worth, this is not an untested technology. It's been used elsewhere, but it'll be tested for the first time here in Revere. So I think as we're testing it, we're going to need to treat it that way as a pilot to see what works, what doesn't, and how we might want to tweak things. So I would just, reiterate, MBTA is a great partner in this effort, and they're willing to be here at the table with us and to come back to the table. So whatever decision you make, let's make one that, we're confident in moving forward as a pilot, and we're willing to come back later and monitor performance and adjust and tweak accordingly.
Thank you. Are there any other proponents? Are there any opponents? Go on.
Sorry. Hello, Paul Lucero, Revere Police. They're going to move, am I getting this right? They are going to move 2 stops in the Dog Lake as you come on, where you make the left to go onto Broadway from Park Ave, and then they're going to put the stops there. Is that what I'm looking at?
Yeah, that was the first proposal. The stop would be a consolidated stop in front of Valari's on Broadway.
Well, in front of Valara's on that side, and then another one on the other side?
Yes.
Yeah, I got, that's, even though I know she said it was a 10-second cycle, it's just that when you come off right there to come up, and then now you add, the people have to get on the bus with 2 stops, it may not make a difference coming straight, but when you're making a dog leg, it does make a difference when cars are trying to push into the turn lane right there. That's where I see the problem coming up with that one. Because the bus will add the extra length of two cars behind it, so it'll be 1, 2 with the 3 spaces of cars, people trying to get on. It will add time
Right.
as you're coming in to make the right onto Central or to even go straight. That's my only concern with that one.
That's why the proposal, which maintains the bus stop in front of Walgreens and maintains the bus stop
Yeah,
on
but
Park
that's-
Avenue.
Yeah, that's still coming from Park Ave there
Yeah,
and going
basically
right.
keeps it the way it is presently.
So,
Also, the other thing for the pedestrians, I know it's a good deal for the buses here, but that's a central part for a lot of people that I know that go to Walgreens that are disabled. And a lot of them walk. So now instead of moving it in front instead of just leaving it there, and I know it does make it simple for the buses, but it does add maybe a half a block for either person, which is fine for me, but it may not be fine for a lot of people that do go there and have walkers and have canes. That's my other concern. And I do agree that stop, which is at the fire department, should be taken away, because I think that puts the bus drivers at a bad disadvantage because of traffic, pedestrians, and we know what happened one time.
Right.
I'm all set.
That scenario would be done
Yeah.
regardless of
Yes.
which proposal.
Okay,
That would be eliminated.
thank you.
Are there any opponents or anybody else who'd like to speak? Hearing none, seeing none. I close this hearing, close that part of the hearing. Members, what are your wishes
And
and concerns? so
being,
we
yeah,
can
our
get
central
this-
fire station is right at ground zero here. I wouldn't be comfortable with anything other than maybe perhaps a pilot program for a certain amount of time, and maybe incorporating proposal 6 to start with into this proposal.
So let us ask, once again, for Proposal 6, we're maintaining the bus consolidated stop in the northbound direction on Park Ave, on Broadway between Park and Central.
Yes. And leave it as it currently operates today in the southbound westbound
Correct.
direction. That's proposal 6, yes.
Hey, I'm kind of hesitant on that, because the only reason that being, if we only meet them halfway, if we do a 60-day trial period, we're again gonna have to do another 60-day trial period with the other stop. If we wanna move forward, do you understand what I'm saying?
I agree with that. I think if we're going to do a trial period or a pilot program for 90 days, we should lay out the program most preferred by the MBTA, which is maintaining consolidated stops between Park and Central in both directions. And have that for a 90-day trial period. We'll see what happens, and if things have to be tweaked after that, we'll come back.
Yeah. If I could make one request, that we make it a 6-month period instead of a 3-month period. It's going to be new operations for the bus operators. It's a massive service increase, and it's going to start in the dead of winter. Having done a number of performance evaluations on bus lanes and bus programs in the past, 3 months is a very, very short amount of time to get a good amount of data. I am happy to do it. I would strongly encourage a slightly longer period of time for us to be able to monitor the intersection. And it would also have the benefit of not being in the dead of winter.
What do you think?
Oh, yes, yes, sorry, we also have, we could tie it to the ratings. We changed service on a predetermined schedule. And so this schedule change that we're building for will happen in December of this year. And so I suggest it starts after that, and then at least for 2 ratings. But I can follow up on that, or we can do it for 90 days. Just-
Okay. So along with this would be proposal, reconstruct sidewalks, add benches and shelters where necessary. We'd like to add one more thing in there. There's a number of dead street trees right in that area that we'd like to have them replaced as part of this program.
Street trees, okay.
I think there's like 4 or maybe 5 right in the block between Park and Central along Broadway. Stripe, do not block the box.
Yes, that's part of
intersection.
the proposal update in the
Install a
package.
transit signal head in short bus lanes
Yep,
and close the inaccessible stop at Broadway
yes.
and Park. So that's all before the commission. Do we have a motion? Is everybody comfortable with this, with a 6-month pilot program?
Motion to enact the proposal, what is it, proposal 4? With I'm hesitant on the 6-month. I just like the ability to call you guys back before us if we see some type of an issue with the not
Absolutely.
having that extra stop on Park Ave.
Yeah.
Understand.
Instead of having 2 buses being stopped in that street, I think we need to come back in 3 months and
Absolutely,
talk about that second stop on Park.
that's fine.
That's my only concern.
If we may, we can implement it for 6 months, and then we could also check back in 3, if that makes sense. So we can come back and see how things are going, and then, but still have it run the 6 months, just to have the proper data that we need, if that makes sense. So we can, if it's not working, we can cut it short after 6 months, but we can check back in.
As long as if Chief Bright sees any issues with that intersection, that 100% needs to be addressed right away with that extra
I-
stop on Park Ave.
Absolutely. I also, it matters to us that the bus operations function here, and if the traffic operations do not function here, the bus operations do not function. I want to underscore that. This is not a cars or a bus proposal. This is, we all need to play together. So absolutely, I'm happy to come back in 90 days and then a report again 90 days after that if that's of use.
Perfect.
Great,
Thank
and
you.
I'll pick up my phone if you call me.
Sounds good.
Okay. So the motion would be to implement it for a 6-month trial period, however, coming back in 90 days to discuss if there are any issues with that current program proposal. Okay. Is that the motion on the floor?
Correct.
Do we have a second?
Mr. Chairman, just to clarify, that's proposal 4, correct?
This is proposal 4.
Proposal for the,
Right.
both consolidated stops on Broadway.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? None. Hearing none. Voted, so ordered.
Thank you very much.
See you in 90 days,
Let's hope it works.
after December 1st. I think they're going to be implementing it in December. Yeah. Going to public hearing number 2 is to amend Schedule 11 of Title 10, handicap persons parking by adding 23 baits. I do have the parking director, Zach Babo, gave submitted a letter in favor of this change to add 23 baits. Are there any proponents? Hearing none, seeing none. Close that part of the hearing. Any opponents? Hearing none, seeing none, close that part of the hearing. Commission members?
Mr. Chairman, do we have any information from Mr. DeChico on this one?
Yes, I believe he was also in favor of this.
Do we know if it meets all of the criteria?
Yes,
It does?
yes.
In that case, make a motion to approve.
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None.
Aye.
Seeing none, voted and so ordered. Number 3, amend Schedule 11 of Title 10 handicapped persons parking by removing 136 Proctor Ave. Again, parking director speaking in favor of this. This is a parking space that is being, a handicap space that's being removed because it's no longer needed. I think it's just a matter of just a vote of the traffic commission to remove the sign. Oh, yeah, let's first hear, are there any proponents on this? Hearing none, seeing none, any opponents? Hearing none, seeing none. Close that part of the hearing. Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve?
Second.
Motion to approve, there has been a second. All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, seeing none, voted and so ordered. Number 4, amend Title 10, Sections 10, 32, 210 to 1032, 211 to allow parking of vehicles with pupil plates not to exceed 6 passengers in all areas except areas that are currently 24/7 resident parking. Are there any proponents?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members. Paul Agenzio, 245 Reservoir Avenue, Ward 4 City Council. Over the last couple of months, I had 2 residents approach me. They own private vehicles. They have pupil plates on these vehicles because their business is to transport students. These are private vehicles that are registered to homes and pay excise tax here in Revere. And I proposed we do the same thing as we do with commercial plates now. One per household, nothing larger than 6 passengers, and they would pay the same fee as a commercial plate owner does. I did some research with the assessor's office. There's only 42 of these plates registered in Revere, and some of them are larger than 6 passengers, so I think we're probably talking about 30 vehicles. And this would help these residents out that own these private vehicles, live in their homes, owner-occupied, and pay excise tax here in Revere. If you have any questions, and also we amended this. I heard from a couple of city councilors that have the 24/7 parking restriction in their areas, and parking is already at a premium. So this would exempt those areas from this pupil plate ordinance.
Thank you.
Okay?
Thank
If you have
you.
any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Are there any other proponents? Hearing none, seeing none, close that part of the hearing. Proponents? Yep. Turn the microphone on, please.
Okay, yeah, we are here because we are neighbor of the Revere City, and we have an issues. We belong to the 89 Walnut Avenue, and there is a temple there. There is a church there where we belong, and so we are here to know if you guys at some point can help us with the parking problems that we have. All the church, because we drive. Most of us don't live in Revere, so we really need help. That's why we need help from you guys, and see what you can do for us.
Okay,
He's the pastor of the church.
okay.
He doesn't speak that much English, but he understands.
Okay.
Do you have a translator here, so he can be more comfortable? Spanish, no?
We do not. If I knew this was happening on the agenda, we
Oh,
don't
you
have this
knew.
item on the agenda, we would have had a translator here. Yes.
Okay.
So this is a new item. This is not on the agenda, so.
Oh,
you-
so it wasn't, or
No,
we
this
have
is,
to-
this item before us is regarding pupil parking plates.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
So what can we do to,
You'd have to talk to the ward counselor and have him put together a request to the traffic commission.
okay,
on
so
what
how can
you-
we get in touch with the council?
we
Where
can
is
give
the
you- we
temple
can give
located?
you- Yeah. We can
So
give you
it'll
his
be-
name.
Who
Yeah.
will give me the name?
You go to Revere, go on the city's website,
Oh, on the website?
yeah. And they'll
Okay.
have the list of city councilors. And you're looking at
Do
ward,
you have it up?
I'd love
two
to.
councilors. She'll give you the name
Oh,
and,
okay.
right now.
Okay, okay. Oh, ¿qué quería decir?
No, solamente que bueno, no lo pueden ayudar a ellos.
No, no con ellos, no. Eso no es la sesión correcta. Pero él ya sabe, dice. Ujú. Okay, so thank you, I'm sorry about that.
Yeah, once we receive that request, we'll take it up at the
Oh,
next
that the
meeting, okay?
request, and then, okay, thank you. Thank you.
Okay, back to item number 4. Are there any opponents? Hearing none, seeing none, close that part of the hearing. Commission members?
Mr. Chairman,
Oh, this, opponents? Yeah, go ahead.
Officer Lucero again. And this is concerning switching the pupil plates as to be added that they can park anything under 6 passengers, correct?
Correct.
I'm opposed to that because at any time when you get these, the pupil plates can be obtained by somebody who is getting a livery or a taxi, and there are 5 other designations where you can get a pupil plate. And once you do that, it's usually followed up by, if it's a taxi, it's considered a business. Liveries also considered businesses, which then I think it just circumvents what the original intent was was not to have pupils, because once you do that, then anybody else who does have a pupil plate can just park anywhere.
Well,
I'm opposed to it because these are businesses.
Yeah, well, we can easily make that fix by prohibiting livery vehicles or taxis from this ordinance. It only applies to
Yeah.
pupil plates
Yeah,
only.
Yeah, but that's the point, is that they don't just, pupil plates don't just have to be used for pupil travel only. They can be used as livery vehicles and then used to transport students, because the drivers then are subject to more stringent regulations as to their license and background checks.
Okay.
That's my only concern, that it's,
That's a valid concern.
yeah, that these vehicles are used other than just transporting. I'm not saying all of them, but these vehicles are used for transporting somebody who calls up a livery business and they have a pupil plate, which they can. All they have to do is file it with the Registry of Motor Vehicles, put a pupil plate on, continue as a livery, and also pick up students in the morning. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Well,
So Frank, what would be the concern? These people would be using this vehicle to pick up students in the day and just then leave it on the street while they use their personal vehicle in the driveway?
or not use it for pupils at all, but use that as a way to have.
And just park it wherever they want, and it just wouldn't move?
Yeah.
So much in the way that we concern commercial vehicles, yes, the pupil plates, they would be able to park overnight on the street. That's correct. That's the purpose for this. And we treat it the same way as we have all these commercial vehicles. I'm not quite understanding where the livery part comes in. There's livery plates, there's pupil plates, there's taxi plates. If this just concerns a vehicle with a plate on it that says pupil. Now, I understand that person can use it to transport somebody else, but we can all get an Uber and we can all transport anyone we want with our Uber. So, I mean, I don't see what the problem with these residents who live here, trying to survive, and paying excise tax in Revere, that how we move from pupil to livery to taxis. They're all different plates, and the parking enforcement will see these plates. If they're doing something other than transporting pupils, maybe they are, but like I said, we can all transport people in our Ubers and Lyfts.
Well, that isn't the intent of this ordinance change. It's like you said. So if there is a loophole, we'll have to see how this goes, and if we get complaints from people saying that they're not using their vehicles for pupils, but just liveries. Now, I don't know if that means there's going to be an increase in pupil plates or not for that purpose. So we know how many we have now.
Right.
And so we'll have to.
So the concern is if we allow pupil plates, people will go out, get pupil plates and use it for livery?
Apparently.
I have all the respect for this officer, but I don't see that.
Well, we can add language in here that such vehicles cannot be used as livery vehicles. At least we'll have it in there to cover us if we do have to go after somebody.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to know what the Parking Enforcement Office, what their opinion is, if they're able to, enforce parking from a pupil plate or, a taxi plate, what their opinion would be on how that would get enforced. And so in lieu of that, I'd make a motion to table until we can have some input from the Parking Enforcement Office.
Good. I do have a communication from the parking director. He did not come out in favor or against this proposal. I can't imagine he would have an issue with it.
So, what did the parking department say?
No, he didn't come out, he submitted a memo of items that he's in favor of on the agenda, but he was here last time we spoke on this, and he didn't come up in opposition when it was presented.
Do you mind if I ask him? I can ask him before we table it and we'll get back to him. He would be the one dealing with this issue.
Yeah.
It would directly affect him, parking department.
Do you have a problem, is this immediately of concern if we?
Yeah, I represent Mr. Canty. I would have no problem if you feel more comfortable tabling this for a month, no problem.
If that's the wishes of the commission,
Okay.
we'll table it until we hear back from the traffic.
Thank you.
Parking director.
There's a motion on the floor for that?
Second.
Yeah, motion to table until we
Aye.
hear from the parking director.
All right,
We have a second?
Second.
All in favor? All opposed?
Aye.
Hearing none, so ordered. Item number 6, amend Schedule 13 of Title 10, tollway zones, off-street parking areas by adding Gibson Park, both sides, time of towing 8 PM to 8 AM, 7 days a week. And that's part of number 5, which is also amends Schedule 8 of Title 10, restrictions generally by adding Gibson Park 2-hour parking during the hours of 8 AM to 8 PM. I did receive a communication from the parking director that said he is in favor of this, given the amount of vehicles that are parking there due to the construction of the nearby projects in the area. Are there any proponents? Hearing none, seeing none, close that part of the hearing. Any opponents? Hearing none, seeing none, close that part of the hearing. Before we go on and take a vote of this, this is written up as a 2-hour parking restriction. I believe
Commissioner.
when the apartment building is complete, when construction is complete, we boost it up to 4 hours. To allow
Okay.
4-hour
Yeah, I
parking.
remember having that discussion before.
Yeah, yeah. So we could make that part of the motion, if you wish.
Motion to approve, Mr. Chairman, on the condition that we change it to 4 hours at the completion of that building.
Okay, you have a second? Is there a second?
Mr. Chairman, just quick question, we're talking about number 5?
5 and 6 go
Oh,
together.
both of them together, okay.
Yeah, so this is 5 and 6.
Second.
I thought we talked about.
All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, seeing none? Voted, it's so ordered. Let's move on to item number 7. Amend Section 10, 34010, Section G, resident parking sticker by removing 145 Harris Street. Again, I do have a memo from the parking director who was in favor of removing this building from Section G, and it lists each unit having 2 bedrooms. He's stating that there is a need for overflow parking. So I will ask if there are any proponents for this change for 145 Harris Street. Hearing none, seeing none, close that part of the hearing. Are there any opponents? Hearing none, seeing none, close that part of the hearing. Let's see.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Question, is this, do we know if this property was developed under a parking variance?
No, I don't believe it. I believe it was. Let's see, there are 12 units and only 14 parking spaces. So it was built many years ago. They must have received a variance for it. I don't have a record of it. That's why it was put into Section G. And the parking director is asking one parking sticker only be allowed per unit as allowed by the parking department. So there are 14 parking spaces. There may be 1 or 2 units that may need a sticker for off-street parking for their second vehicle. So it's not every unit in the building. Apparently, there are 2-bedroom units, and many apartments have 2 vehicles.
Mr. Chairman, with the fact that this property was developed assumably under with a parking variance or relief of some type, I make a motion to deny.
There's a motion to deny. Do we have a second?
I'm gonna have to second that.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Voted, so ordered.
There's no
Change is
parking on
denied.
Beach Street, so.
Okay, let's go to... Let's go to number 8, amend Schedule 8 of Title 10, parking restrictions generally by removing Foster Street, no parking both sides from 100 feet westerly from Broadway, and adding Foster Street, no parking both sides, at point 60 feet westerly from Broadway. Again, the traffic, or the parking director, excuse me, is basically stating this is necessary to clean up the signage. It was posted recently as markings along the roadway had become faded and difficult to enforce. When the signs were posted, according to the ordinance, it eliminated 6 parking spaces that did not need to be removed. And the current 60 feet provides more than adequate space for larger vehicles entering Monahan Lumber. So it doesn't need to be 100 feet. He feels 60 feet is more than sufficient for turning radius purposes. Are there any proponents other than the parking director? Hearing none, seeing none, close that part of the hearing. Are there any opponents? Hearing none, seeing none, close that part of the hearing. Motion by the commission?
Motion to approve. Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Voted and so ordered. Let's go on to... That's it for public hearing business. We've going on to requests. A request to install a traffic calming speed bump on Mountain Avenue to be located 20 feet east of Kilburn Street. Now, the last discussion we had was that we would develop guidelines for locations of speed humps. Speed humps basically can be 4 inches high by 12 feet wide. Speed tables are basically 4 inches high from curb to curb, and flat on top. So most of the ones that are put in the city are considered speed tables, I believe, because they go curb to curb. Unless I'm mistaken.
Mr. Chairman, we have one speed table that's on Cushman Ave.
Yeah, so the ones on Park Ave are speed
Those
bumps.
are speed bumps. So they're 8 feet wide, about 4 inches high.
Yeah.
They don't go curb to curb
Yeah.
to allow drainage.
So this would be a speed hump.
The intention of this, Mr. Chairman, was to basically mirror what we have on Park Ave, and I think there's one on Sergeant Street as well. So it would be identical to those.
So, I think an analysis has to be done whether this is a feasible solution for that location, if there are any other issues involved, such as drainage that may be impacted. We can make a motion to send to a public hearing and do the necessary analysis, make sure it meets all our guidelines.
Mr. Chairman, I did look at this for drainage. It would allow, to be installed the way it was described. It would allow for drainage along the gutter line. Mountain Ave is a hill, so that shouldn't be an issue. And the location, in terms of, where the speeding is and in proximity to intersections and driveways, looks to be the best location. But I think that we certainly can make sure that the guidelines and the criteria are met prior to the public hearing. So I'll make a motion to move this to the public hearing.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? So ordered to a public hearing. Councilor Argento?
Hi, I've been getting a lot of requests for speed humps. What do you think the procedure is? Should I send those requests to the engineer? Mr. Rystrom can go out, assess if it's a proper place for one. If he does, then come back and then put it through the Traffic Commission?
Yeah, I think that's a proper protocol
Okay,
that when we develop these, to take a better look at these before
Right.
they went in, that we'd have them evaluated before they get to the Traffic Commission to make
Okay.
sure that it's a feasible location.
okay. So
Okay.
there are a lot of requests coming in?
Yeah, I can imagine.
Okay. Who requested this one?
So this came from the mayor's office.
Okay, all right, very good. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Item number 2, amend Schedule 5 of Title 10 one-way streets. This is location at Cambridge Street in a southerly direction from Mountain Avenue to Park Avenue.
Paul Agenzio, 245 Reservoir Avenue, Ward 4 Counselor. I had several residents contact me from Cambridge Street. We have recently, well, over the last few years, we've made some one-way streets off of Park Avenue. The concern on Cambridge Street, they feel as though they're using it kind of as a cut-through. People from the hill are coming down South Cambridge, going across Cambridge to access Adams Street. So they are looking for this to be one-way coming down the hill from from Mountain Ave to Park Ave. The traffic study that I believe was done several years ago, you sent me that map, and that document indicated it should go the other way.
Right.
But I don't have any backup as to why that is.
Yeah.
Listening to the residents and agreeing with them that it is being used as a cut-through to get to Adams Street. In fact, one of the residents used their cameras on their house. She did a little bit of a traffic count, and she's prepared to come here if this does go to a public hearing to tell you what she's seen. So I would like it to go to a public hearing, and then we can have further discussion with the residents.
Motion to send this to a public hearing?
Motion.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Will be moved to a public hearing. Request number 3, amend Schedule 8 of Title 10, parking restrictions generally by removing no parking from the odd side of the street and add no parking to the even side of the street on River Street from Mills Ave to Hayes Ave. No parking on the even side of street. So we just put up signage there for parking only, I think, on the east side. I'm not sure. And they were put on the wrong side of the street.
I had them, they moved them to the correct
To the
side.
correct side, okay.
Now I'm just concerned, what is, I'm kind of confused on what this is asking now. Switch it back to how it was before it was moved?
This is River, yeah. I'm not sure if this request came from the counselor or not. It did, yeah, okay. So it would have to be moved to a public hearing if there's a motion to do so.
Let me just check real quick and make sure that it's not already corrected.
Okay.
I think that might have been what she was asking for. Because we, since our last meeting with her, we moved them to the opposite side. I just don't, I don't see them changing their mind again, going back to the, where they
Maybe
originally
on this
were.
one street, they have an issue, I don't.
She did last week.
So what side are they on now?
I can't remember, but we had them moved to the opposite side. I told them to
Correct.
move everything to the opposite side.
I can't remember if it was
So they're on the north side.
south or north.
Right now, the north side is the odd side. So they want to move from the north side to the south side.
Do you have any records of that we approved? Do you have anything in there? On what we approved, which side?
No.
No. Because that came before us last time. Okay. If you wish, we could send it to a public hearing and
Motion to send to a public hearing.
let it work its way out. We have a
Second.
motion to send the hearing, second. All in favor? Move to a
Aye.
public hearing. And there is no other business before the commission, so we have a motion to adjourn.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I see one more request
We do.
to remove handicap parking sign, 90 Kimball Ave.
Oh, you're right. I have an old one. Another request before us is to amend Schedule 11 of Title 10, handicapped persons parking by removing 90 Kimball Avenue. Again, this is a simple request from a sign the people have moved, and there's no need to have the sign there. So, just
Mr.
need a vote
Chairman,
of the Traffic Commission to approve removing the sign.
make a motion to move this to a public hearing.
I don't think we need a public hearing. There is,
Oh, make a motion to
they just want to
remove
remove, there's nobody who needs it anymore.
Second.
it. Make a motion to remove.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
There were no stop signs on Tudor and Prospect Ave. There's all kinds of stop signs on Suffolk Ave and Tudor Street, that four-way intersection.
Right.
But at Tudor and Prospect, there are no stop signs at all.
Okay. We don't have anything before us.
Evidently, it didn't go through. I put that in several days.
Yeah. It's not on the agenda. We can,
On Tudor Street
Yeah.
and Prospect Avenue, Tudor Street is a very narrow street. And there is a stop sign on Tudor Street going on to Prospect Avenue. But when the people from Prospect Avenue make the left turn to go on Tudor Street, that street is very narrow, and there's a tendency of somebody whacking somebody, even though the automobile stops at the stop sign on Tudor Street, going up to Prospect. But going down from Prospect onto Tudor Street, there's no stop sign on Tudor Street, on either way. No stop signs at all. The only stop sign is on Tudor when it's gonna make the left or right turn. But there are 3 places where there are no stop signs. On the left side of Prospect, on the left side, well, anyway, there's 3 stop signs missing on Tudor and Prospect. I mean, I'd like to have somebody take a look at that.
Okay, we'll request that they take a look at it.
If I'm wrong, I don't know what I'm talking about.
I'll go take a look at it. I have no problem taking a look
I
at it.
think the problem is that
The only thing
there's
I
no
do-
other intersecting street. It's just-
If it's just,
Four-way, it's a four-way street.
yeah.
it is a four-way, so maybe on this street, but the main road, I'm hesitant on putting one on the main road.
Road going up and down. Tudor is the intersection.
Oh, it's a dead end.
There's 2 dead ends.
As a
It's a
matter
dead end
of
of
fact,
Prospect and a dead end of Tudor.
Tudor Street. And Prospect, right the corner.
Can you push the mic button?
There you go.
Well, you can see me, you can hear me without the, because I'm loud. That's from the generator of my ice cream truck. People couldn't hear me. So anyway, getting back to serious thing. That's a very dangerous turn there from Prospect onto Tudor, okay? There was a mail truck parked on Tudor Street, and if anybody had made a turn from Prospect onto Tudor Street, they couldn't make the turn because I was stopped going the other way. And the truck was stopped right there, and no sign there to stop to make sure that it's clear.
Okay, thank you. We can't do anything with this evening, but we'll take a look at it, put a request through your ward counselor so we can get on the agenda for next meeting, okay?
What do you want me to do?
Put a request in through your ward counselor.
Again? Where did he go?
He was here just a minute ago.
I told him already.
Well, obviously. Okay. Meeting adjourned.